Hello, good morning. Welcome to Women of Destiny.
Are you starting to?
I'm live. You okay? Good morning, and welcome to Women of Destiny. So, normally we will look at a woman, but today, given the COVID-19 situation, I just thought it's appropriate that we actually look at something that's relevant to our current situation, the fear, the panic, and everything that's going on. So that's what we'll be looking at: COVID-19, divine immunity. Okay, so let's set the ball rolling. Why am I talking about COVID-19? I am doing that because that is what we bear with me. I seem to have a bit of a technical problem where I'm getting feedback in here. I will come back to it in a second. Bear with me. Right, I don't think I'm able to fix it. I won't let it take too much time. I will just carry on with it. So I just want to say that there is nothing new under the sun, and I think that's really the best way we can actually approach the COVID-19 situation. The Bible talks a lot about plagues, and this is where we find ourselves at this moment, that we've got a plague that we can't actually handle, which is COVID-19. And that's what I want to talk about. Where do we stand as Christians? How are we supposed to be feeling? What is the impact? What do we do about it? What has the Word of God got to say about it? And I would just like to take us to Exodus chapter 7. And that's where we found 10 plagues that came to the people of Egypt when the Israelites were slaves at the time over there. So let's start with the very first plagues. So what happened in that time was that God wanted the Israelites to be free to go and worship him and serve him. But Pharaoh wasn't willing to release them. So God sent Moses, and he said that if he doesn't release them, these plagues he was going to bring onto them. Now, what I want us to be clear about, the plagues were actually coming against specific gods of the Egyptians. Now, why is that important? It's important because in the world that we live in, we have so many things that we have put our faith in, and that is what a God is. Anything that you have put your trust in, anything that you have put your faith in can be a God. Some people have a God of money, their faith and their knowledge and everything that they've got. Their strength, their confidence is all based on the money that they have. So the money then becomes their God. And the Egyptians had a lot of gods that they served at the time. So I just want to talk about the first act of God. He said that he made the river Nile turn into blood. Now, the river Nile was actually a god that the Egyptians believed in. It was called Hapi, Hapi. This was a god when the Nile got flooded, and then it would deposit fertile soil into some areas so that they can grow their crops. And for them, it was a god that made life better for them. It made it possible for them to grow their crops. So when God turned the Nile into blood, all he did was that he was bringing their God down. They couldn't use that God anymore. It was a mode of transportation. They could not travel on it at the time. It was a source of food because they fished from it. It was no use to them. It was a business. People made money out of it. The fishing community, God had just simply shut it down. And it was a religious place that they went, and they also prayed. If you look at the number of times that God asked Moses to meet Pharaoh at the river Nile, he also, even when Moses was found in the river, the reason why the Pharaoh's daughter believed that Moses was special and it was the gods that have given him to her was because of the Nile River that she found Moses in. So they had a lot of reverence for the river and they believed in it. Now, I just want to say that, what is your God? What is your God at the moment? What is your God? don't put your faith in things that are not relevant. So God was striking the god of the Egyptians. Now let's look at the other plague, the second plague that followed. The other plague was Egyptian goddess of fertility, which represented the frog. And that is why God let a lot of frogs come out and disturb them. It was actually, I think they called it Hacket or Hicket. Now, the reason why for them the frog was a goddess of fertility, in fact, a frog can lay up to 2,000 eggs in one time. So for them, it was a goddess of fertility that they believed in. And then if you look at, in Revelation chapter 16 verse 30, there is a mention of frogs as a sign of uncleanliness. And then also when the frogs died, it created a really bad smell in the land of Egypt. And God was saying that, you know what, these things that you believe in, these things that you're holding on to, it doesn't work. God was just condemning, destroying everything that the Egyptians believed in. The thing about all these plagues is that it all brought just sickness and death. And then if you look at the third plague, which was a plague of gnats, that was against the god of Geb, which was the god of earth that the Egyptians believed in. So what God did was that he turned dust into gnats to affect them. He was just saying to them that I am the God of the earth. He is the one that created man out of dust, out of nothing, and breathed his breath into man. And then man became a living soul. So how can you say there is a God of earth, that you worship this God of earth? So again, God was actually saying that these things you've put your faith in, it doesn't work. You know, the other thing was the plague. The fourth plague was the plague of flies. Now, flies, it's associated. The Lord of Prince of the flies is called Beelzebub, and that is the evil spirit that guards the day. And that's why flies are about more during the day rather than the night. What they actually do is just contaminate things by actually releasing eggs on it. Anything a fly sits on gets contaminated. So God was contaminating the land that the Egyptians lived on. And that is why at the end of it all, the whole place was just smelly. How can you believe in a creature that I have created? So God was using the very things that they believed in and had faith in to come against them. Now, somebody's asking themselves, what's this got to do with coronavirus? I will get to it. The fifth plague was the plague of death of livestock. Now, that was their god of Hathor, the goddess of love and protection. So they believed that there was a goddess of love and a goddess of protection that shielded them from everything that they were going through. And God wanted to take all their livestock away and all of those things to show them that there is no God of protection, there is no God of production. It is I, the Lord, that provides. So he chose to strike all their living things for them to die. The sixth plague is the plague of boils. And I find that interesting because actually for them it was Isis, the goddess of medicine and peace. And you can see from my sarcastic smile, so I'm a nurse and I believe in science and I genuinely know it works, you know. But the problem is that these Egyptians had made the god of Isis, the goddess, that it was their goddess of medicine. It was their goddess that heals. It was their goddess that gives them peace. If your body is well, your soul is well, you've got peace. Last week when we touched on the woman with the issue of blood, Jesus said, your faith has made you whole. So when your body is well, you've got peace. And these people believed in this goddess of Isis. So what God did then was that he struck them with boils and sores that they could not heal. He was saying that when medicine fails, when everything fails, all you can do is trust me. I am the God that heals. I am the healer. I am the one that has got power to heal. The seventh plague was the plague of hail. And that was the goddess of Nut. For them, there was a goddess of the sky. That was the goddess of Nut. So God was telling them, you are not in control of the sky. You're not in control of the weather. You know nothing. I am the one that created the firmament and put the sky above you. Last time we learned that the sky, the color of the sky, blue, is about the word of the Lord. So God wasn't going to allow the Egyptians to actually take something that he has created and they take credit and give it to some random goddess. So he allowed hailstone to fall and destroyed everything that they have. Now the interesting thing about the hailstone is that one affected a lot of farms. And if you look at all the plagues that came, they all affected something. And I'll be coming to all of that in a second. So the eighth plague was the plague of locusts. And that was the god called Seth. It was the god of storms and disorder. So they actually believed that there was a god of storms and disorder. Now, if you know anything about locusts, they destroy. Even the Bible talks about that which the locust has chewed and the cankerworm has destroyed. You know, they leave nothing behind. Recently in Eastern Africa, there's been a swarm of locusts flying through some of the countries, destroying everything in their path. By the time they leave the place, everything is destroyed. They've chewed all the leaves. And if you look at the plagues that came, it was just getting from bad to worse. Each one worsened the situation. If you look at the plagues that came with the hailstone, it says that it destroyed barley, which was in a sense rice, food, what they depended on. It destroyed all of that. But it didn't destroy wheat because wheat had not grown yet. So that tells me that all of this did not happen in one go. There was a bit of time that it followed, because actually, I tell you what, give me a second. I just found a solution to the feedback. Let me just fix it. 1 second. Brilliant, it's fixed. Okay, so if we look at, so I was saying that all the plagues did not happen at the same time. If you look at the plague that happened about the river Nile, it said that 7 days passed. So God didn't just rain everything on them in one go. So this lasted for a period of time. Now let's look at the 9th plague. It was the plague of darkness. It took place, darkness stayed over them for 3 days. absolute darkness. Now, this was attack on their god Ra, the god of the sun. That's how we got the name Sunday, because they worshipped the god of the sun. Now, God created the sun. It is not any goddess or any power from anywhere. So God was actually saying that, you know what? There is no God of the sun, and you have no power over anything like that. I created it, and I can make it go completely pitch black. I don't need your permission. I don't need to consult anybody. I can just leave you in total darkness. And the God of the sun that you believe in will not work for you. Then we come to the final plague, death of firstborns. See, this is really sad, because actually in their time, the tradition was that your firstborn would take after you. So what God did was that he took away all the successors that would have taken over from the people of Egypt. Now, if you haven't got a successor, that means that nothing will carry on anymore. So the dynasty of Egypt was coming to an end. God had shut them down. It is the firstborn that signified the continuation of the generation, the continuation of the dynasty. So the power of Egypt was coming down completely. And this was a spirit that they believed in, and that was the god of Pharaoh. All power belongs to Pharaoh, and Pharaoh did what he wanted. And they actually believed that he was a god. You can go back to Exodus and look at it. And that is why when God was sending Moses, he said that I will make you as a god before them. So they had a god they believed in, but God was sending them another god. Now, that is all the 10 plagues. I just want us to bring it home to coronavirus. If you look at all the plagues that came, it brought diseases, it brought fear, and it brought death. Where are we right now? Fear. I'm a very early riser. Normally by 6 o'clock, I've done my shopping already. And this is something I do routinely. Today, when I walked into Tesco, I never saw so many people 6 a.m. in Tesco like I did today, especially on Saturdays. Weekdays you see a few, but Saturdays when people want to have a lie-in and relax, you hardly see that many people there. But out of fear and out of panic, people are there buying what they need. Some of the things around sanitization, hand gels, hand soaps, all of those things are gone. People fighting over tea rolls on social media because we are afraid. It's fear. It's fear that is driving us. Now, if you look at the situation that the Egyptians found themselves with Moses, the decision was made by a few. It was Moses that consulted the then Pharaoh. Now, with all the things that are going on around coronavirus, where is the discussion taking place? Is the medics, the scientists that are advising the government, and then the information gets filtered through? I am just saying that there is nothing new under the sun. All of these things have happened before. What we are experiencing now, it happened before. There is nothing new under the sun. Now, the plagues were different ones of 10 that affected the people. What we're experiencing is one plague, yet it carries the same signs and symptoms: fear, sickness, and death. We're counting the death toll. We are counting the number of people that will be admitted in hospital, sickness. What was the point of the plagues? God was actually asking that the Israelites be freed to go and worship him. This was the divine immunity he was offering them. Let my people go, that they may go and worship me. And Pharaoh wouldn't agree. There is immunity in worshiping God, in giving your life to God, in serving God, that you will not be afraid of the pestilence nor the arrow that flies by day. What is the arrow that flies by day? The god of the sun, Beelzebub, flies. It flies by day, coming at you, contaminating your destiny, your life, destroying you. But if you put your faith in God, if you trust in God, if you trust in his commandments, and that was what he was saying to the Israelites. He was saying that, get out and go live my commandments. Just like it was 10 plagues that affected them, it was 10 commandments that protected the people of the Israelites. So let's look at that for a minute. Now, what are we going through right now? It is an economic disaster. COVID-19 is affecting us economically, financially. Serious money that governments could have used to do so many things, they can't do it now. It's all going into the NHS. And in America, they don't have NHS, but money is being poured. If you hear, billions of dollars and billions of pounds are being pledged to fight a disease. Resources that could have done other things is being poured into a disease to combat it. Why? Because we have put our faith in the wrong things. Money, our God of money, our God of science. I am not saying science doesn't work. It works. I'm a nurse. Trust me, science works. But that is not what God wants us to put our faith in. He wants us to put our faith in his word, his promise. And with that said, you know, when he got the Jewish people out of Egypt, listen to what he said to them in Exodus chapter 15 verse 26. The covenant where he revealed himself as the God that heals in Exodus 15:26. That is where he made a covenant with them and said that I am the God that heals. If you obey my commandments, these diseases that I have put in the Egyptians, I will not put them on you. These plagues, it was 10 different plagues that affected their economy and their health. We've got one that is affecting our economy and our health. What are we going to put our faith in? Put your faith in the commandments of the Lord. Put your faith in the word of the Lord. Fear not. And I just want to read parts of Psalm 91 to reassure you that the word of the Lord works. And this is David saying that, this I declare about the Lord. He alone is my refuge, my place of safety. In a really dark world, in a time of darkness, let your faith be in God. It says that in him I will trust, for he will rescue me from every trap. Not some traps. Every single trap. And protect me from deadly diseases. Is coronavirus deadly? It is. But God can protect you. I am not saying don't take the precautions. Wash your hands. Do everything that the WHO is saying we need to do. But for your soul not to be troubled, for your heart to be at peace, for your mind to be at peace, you've got to grab a hold of the word of the Lord. You have to put your faith in God. Not money, not wealth, not the thing that you have made your God, not the God of science. When science fails, like it's failing now, you've got to trust God. It goes on in verse 4. He says that his faithful promise are your armor and protection. What is God's promise? These diseases that I have brought onto the Egyptians, I will not put on you. That's God's promise for you. Exodus 15:26. Because I am the God that heals. He will heal you. He will heal you. He will heal you. Just trust him. Have faith in his word. Have faith that you will not panic, that you will not be afraid. Do not put your resources and your faith and your hope in all the other gods that Egyptians had. We have some of those gods in our lives today. Trust me and trust the word of the Lord. It is the promise of God that will heal you, that will bring you faith. Fear not, for I am with you. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me, O Lord. Maybe you're not a Christian and you're wondering, how do I deal with this? Let me tell you, have faith in God. Do all that science is telling you to do, but also have faith and trust the word of the Lord. Now, I will say this and close. The reason why the word of the Lord works for diseases is that diseases can often be backed by the spirit of evil. Because God says that he is the God that heals. So he is not the one that wants us to live in death. He is the one that heals. Now, if that spirit is backed by, if the disease is backed by an evil spirit, when you speak the word of God, which is the spirit of God, which is Jesus, you've got two spirits battling against each other. So the spirit of the Lord against the spirit of evil. The devil has no place, because God is light and the devil is darkness. And light came and darkness comprehended it not. So the word of the Lord will work against any deadly pestilence, any disease that is coming against you. It doesn't matter whether it's COVID-19. When science is failing, when the God of science fails, trust the living God. Trust the living God. God bless you and thank you for watching. And remember, be a woman of destiny. Wrong is wrong when everybody's doing it, and right is still right when nobody's doing it. God bless you. Have a fruitful week.